When your preparation for events becomes a habit, your environment will shift completely. Do not take your attention off of this daily work of nurturing these people. This call can be used for training purposes, and kind of the whole context, the whole reason for this call is to create a sustainable flow for growth within your gym and what the heck that looks like. So in any parkour gym, in any really well put together, successful parkour gym, or community center or fitness hub, success is measured for those places by a lot more than just numbers of members. The success for those places is actually created by having an environment where classes and events are consistently full and where staff members feel empowered and the organization kind of like expands without a sense of urgency or chaos. But achieving that requires one really crucial element, which is the whole focus of today's call. And that is doing the work today that fulfills tomorrow's needs. And we'll really deep dive into this. But before we do, I would love to get a sense of who the heck you are and what your accountability is within the gym, like what you do, and kind of already what are you hearing for yourself? So I want your name, what is your accountability, and what do you hear already inside of what I've said about creating a thriving community that doesn't rely on urgency? And we'll start with Brennan. And then Brennan, I want you to popcorn to someone else, okay?
Okay, I suppose. My name is Brennan Stoll. I am the general manager, and my accountabilities rely on having everyone on Swift's team going in the same direction, utilizing their energy effectively, and of course, helping run the gym effectively with that in mind. This could be
general manager, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
So just trying to grow into this role, as I had a skill set of coaching, heavily program development, and some level of coaches training to assist others with, but I had to grow into sales, marketing, and a lot of the other back-end skills to help define those roles and keep everyone else accountable to those roles as well. So learning those and going in the right direction.
Yeah, that makes sense. As the GM, you kind of have your hands in every accountability just a little bit. So that way you can manage shortfalls. You can also find constraints in those processes and systems. Because I guarantee if you run into a problem running the front desk, your front desk person's probably also experiencing that same problem. So that's great. Anything else you want to say about your accountability?
Not particularly. I think that covers a lot of it.
And in that case, Brennan, what do you hear just being on this call as a general manager when I talk about creating sustainable flow for growth within the gym? What do you hear inside of that?
Creating an atmosphere for the coaches to be able to do that themselves, creating an atmosphere for the community to grow naturally and have that happen for themselves, and providing the pieces that might be missing or just need to be adjusted for that. And I've seen a lot of pieces that are close, or we are sustainable to an extent, but not like thriving. So try to identify and hone in on those points.
Cool. Yeah, no, that's so great. That's perfect. I can really tell that you're looking at the gym from the perspective of the general manager. How's your staff experience? How's your customer experience? Awesome. Cool. All right, popcorn it.
Paul, go.
Hello, my name is Paul. I'm the lead for the fitness and mobility program at Swift. Kind of the secondary classes, so not the parkour, but the flipped classes, more like fitness, like yoga type classes, kind of secondary type classes. Sorry, what was the third thing that you had wanted?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is like, I'm asking a question that is a bit tougher to think about, which is, what do you hear for yourself in your position inside of the context that I'm creating? And the context I'm creating is creating an environment where classes and events are consistently full, where staff members feel empowered, and where the organization can expand without a sense of urgency or chaos. So what do you hear inside of that for yourself?
I'm hearing consistent by clients, new clients coming in to classes without having to, I guess, like rely on special events or certain periods of time, like New Year, whenever people are kind of motivated to coming in. I'd like to see kind of a more consistent flow of new clients into our secondary classes throughout the year.
That's awesome. Oh my gosh, Paul, you're so inside of the conversation that like it makes me very excited. So that's awesome. I love what you just said. Stay right exactly there with what you hear for yourself. That's what you said's perfect. Thank you for sharing.
Yep. Thank you.
Will you popcorn it to someone?
James, take it away.
Hey, I'm James. I'm the social media manager with Swift, and I'm also like kind of a coach. I do like 2 classes a week. What I'm looking forward to in this call is just figuring out more of how to get it so that I am scheduling out posts and all that stuff about a week ahead, because that would be amazing. And yeah, just generally trying to get it so that, as you're saying, there's not like the stress of this has to be posted like tonight or tomorrow or something like that, that I can just deal with it ahead of time so that then I can have the posts up whenever they need up, or even before then.
James, my excitement is building. This is good. This is really good, dude. No, this is perfect. What you just said, so good, because that sense of like stress and urgency and like something's coming up. Did I miss something? Like that whole thing. Oh my God, I can't use a curse word. I'm a HR representative, but it's exciting. That's so good. You're going to totally get that out of this call. That's like the whole purpose of this call. And this can be applied to any part of anyone's accountability. So we'll talk about creating, I'm going to introduce my own structure on this call that I will give you that works for me and the people I work with. And you can either use that, or with the team here, you guys can come up with your own system that will work. But above all, James, you will be left with the ability to foresee well in advance anything that's coming up and any work that's required in advance. Yeah. So that's awesome. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
All right. Popcorn it.
Nick.
Hello. I am Nick at Swift. What's the word you use? There's one specific word.
Accountability.
There it is. My accountability is in planning, getting signups and running all of our events. That includes camps, Nerf wars, birthday parties, among some other prospecting events we run occasionally. Big thing I'm hoping to get out of this call is kind of that just consistency and signups, especially in repeat signups. We just opened up our winter camp and it filled within a week, and amazing. Trying to really get that and extend that to a lot of our other events that are struggling right now.
Yes. Okay. I'm going to just do some breathing exercises, because it's just as we go, it's getting better and better. Nick, I promise you as well, similarly to James, the specific system that I have created that I'm going to be sharing with you guys, along with the context, is all about event filling and event planning and event creation, and also working with each department. And it's like an at a glance being able to see like, oh, here's everything that's coming up in 13 weeks. And wow, I can also see the gaps. I can see where there isn't anything planned. And now I can use those gaps to kind of like decide where I'm going to focus my attention, so that's awesome. You're right inside of the conversation. This call is perfect for your specific accountability as well. So woo-hoo.
Awesome. Matthew Todd, you're up.
I'm Matt. I do a lot of things. I think mostly for this call, emails, coordinating that kind of stuff. I also do like back-end admin work, for the gyms, tracking down different things from our members, kind of miscellaneous stuff, helping out the sales team as well, like any kind of technical issues they run into. think the biggest thing I'm looking for in this call is kind of along the lines of James, but with the email side of things, just knowing events that are coming up to get emails out for our members and prospective members to kind of get more information and sign up for those.
Okay. Okay, cool. Matt, that's perfect. And you're kind of like a one-man band accountability. You do a little bit of everything. You do it all, but mostly you delve into the world of communication. Is that what I'm understanding? Like the emails and the...
Yeah. I manage most of the emails that go out.
Okay. And that's to your customers, to your parents, and so you're the person that is largely responsible for informing them about events that are coming up and things like that?
Correct. Yep. Through emails and stuff. Yeah.
Cool. Sweet. All right. Sweet. That's fantastic. This will also be mega relevant to you. But before we get started, for you specifically, Matt, you will want to do some speculation with Brennan and Seth outside of this call, and possibly even me if you want. I'm totally available for you and your team. Actually, I may be the perfect person to do this with you. But we'll want to look at creating a specific system for you so that you're alerted when these events are scheduled from, say, Nicholas or Brennan. When an event is put into this system, we'll want to create some way that you can interact with it where you're like, oh, an event is 4 weeks from now. That means this email should probably go out at this time, and this SMS should go out at this time. So we'll talk about that a little bit more, but you should think about your own system and how it would work with what I'm presenting today. Okay. All right, great. Cool. Seth, you're the last one aside from me. I just realized I didn't introduce myself either. I'll go last.
Yeah. I mean, that CEO, my accountabilities at this point are primarily right now around HR, around analyzing strategy and performance across the different departments and connecting the different departments. So kind of keeping track of where things are at across everywhere and continuing to push things forward, looking at the bigger picture.
Cool. Awesome.
I think the main piece I'm trying to see here is kind of related to the coordination and collaboration regarding filling upcoming events and classes and juggling those different accountabilities across the
Yes. Oh, yay. I'm excited. Cool. Thank you. Awesome. Okay. So I'm Christopher, everyone. I am in this call, my accountability is mentor. So that means I'm not here with the right answer. I'm here with my own experience, and I'll kind of put what I've created on the table, and then you as a team can look at it and be like, this is useful, don't need that, let's add this, let's take this away. So this is really for you and your team to create some power in your accountabilities and some foresight. And oh my gosh, guys, like the stuff I'm going to be sharing with you on this call has listen, I want you to hear this, like really hear this, has dramatically increased the quality of life of the leadership within our business by reducing urgency, by reducing stress, by increasing communication across departments, and by increasing foresight, the ability to foresee what is coming way ahead of time, way in advance. Okay. So that's my intention for you on this call. And everything that you guys shared about what you want to get out of this call and what you're seeing, it like really excited me. It really lit me up because that's why I'm here. That's why I'm here right now. So without further ado, let's get into two distinctions. So I'm going to go over something called a targeting file with you, which is it is exactly what it sounds like. It is the ability to create a target for both your class expansion, your community expansion, and filling those classes. And also on the flip side of things, your event filling. Okay. So it's based, you can relate to the targeting file as an ongoing event fill plan. Okay. But before we get into the targeting file and I show you what that is and how I use it, I'm going to create a little bit of context about this work. So when you do this work effectively, classes and events are resourced and communicated to every single person that is involved weeks in advance. Every team that's inside of your company is going to operate with confidence. Why? Because they're going to know all of their responsibilities. It's going to be really clear what everyone is accountable for. And this is important, it's going to be obvious that you guys can do it. It's obvious to your team that like, oh, we can actually do this. We can actually hit these marks that we set for ourselves. That's a good feeling. The other thing that happens when this work is done well is opportunities to expand your gym are cultivated ongoingly. So your success isn't just experienced in like, oh, we had a good month, we had a good quarter, but like everything is sustainable. Everything, it's good year round. You don't have to make drastic decisions to your schedule or your pay rate or anything like that, because you are now in something called sustainable success. Okay. All right. Nod your head if you're following me so far about why this is important. Okay, great. Thank you. Awesome. It's hard when I'm not in person, because when I'm in person, I can like look at you guys, but here it's just digital. Thank you. Thank you for that digital thumb. Okay. So here's what I'm going to paint a picture for you guys as well, because just showing you a spreadsheet, I think is super lame. So before I do just show you a spreadsheet, I'm just going to talk a little bit about kind of what it would look like. If I was a camera on the wall and this was like fully implemented and like running really well, what would I see? All right. So you would see every event in the calendar had been finalized at least 5 weeks prior. At least 5 weeks. Regular classes are all completely scheduled. And for special workshops and seasonal camps, those are scheduled 10 weeks in advance. At that point, adjustments are always proactive and not reactive. Okay, so that's a really important distinction. So having a glimpse into this work being done is like everything is scheduled. Practically everything is scheduled 10 weeks in advance. And then any adjustments that you're making to these events are proactive, not reactive. Someone for me on this call, I would love for you to share with me, what is the difference between proactive and reactive? What's the difference between proactive and reactive? And why would you want to switch from proactive to reactive? Why would you want to switch from reactive to proactive? Why would you want to do that? Especially when it comes to event scheduling or adjustments around your classes and events. Why would you want to make that switch?
I can take a stab at it. Reactive being waiting until something happens to make a change of, oh, we're X amount of time left until the camp. We don't have the signups. Now we need to do something, as opposed to proactive of having that bit of foresight to be like, hey, we're reaching into a lull with signups. We should bump up our social media, bump up our ads to make sure we're staying ahead of the curve. Because if you're reactive, you're going to be late trying to get whatever you're trying to get done. Whereas if you're proactive, you can get it done before a crisis point.
Nick, you nailed it. Yes. Dude, nice. Exactly. And examine for yourself wherever you are reactive in your position. Reacting to, usually what you react to is a lack of systems or a lack of structure. Something comes up on you and it is a surprise. You are now surprised. Okay, that's the distinction there. And Nick, what you're saying about foresight is like, it's brilliant, because when you can see in advance that lull, oh, there's going to be, I have predicted that. It is predictable, not a fact. It is predictable that there will be a lull 4 weeks from now. What's the work I do today that impacts that lull 4 weeks from now? Right? So you are, that's awesome. And so you can imagine the kind of peace of mind that would give you 4 weeks in advance versus coming upon a problem as it's happening, right? You can imagine kind of the mental shift. So great job, Nick. So that's the first thing, is your class and event scheduling. 10 weeks in advance. Awesome. Second thing, Roles are defined. So your coaches, your promoters, your organizers, everyone knows their tasks for the actual event at least 2 weeks ahead of time. Brennan, that one specifically for you. Everyone scheduled for the event is scheduled and knows their specific accountability at least 2 weeks in advance. Now, I'm saying at least my gyms operate on a monthly schedule. I make sure that everybody has their schedule 1 month in advance. So that way I have 4 weeks to get ahead of any weirdness. Now, that's the reason why you want this, Brennan. And also, I'm going to come back to you, Matt, in just a second on this. But for Brennan, everyone that's in the event should know what they're doing and when they're doing it 2 weeks in advance. And then you know if it's staffed or not 2 weeks in advance. You can now see the gaps. Okay? So roles are defined. Now, Matt, circling back to you, your emails, your communications may operate on a larger timeline than 2 weeks. I don't know what your policies are. Maybe it's 3 weeks. Maybe it's you're informing people a month in advance. Maybe you're informing people about summer camps as soon as January hits and you have like an early bird. I don't know. But that's some of the critical thinking that I can't do on this call, but that you will have to do for your specific accountability. Does that make sense? Cool. And again, I'm happy to do that work with you outside of this. All right. So a glimpse into a prepared week. Let's zoom back into the conversation. Classes and events are scheduled 10 weeks in advance. Check. Outreach, roles are defined. Check. Everyone knows what they're doing 2 weeks in advance. Nice. Third thing, your outreach is active. Matt, this is pretty much all you, and Nicholas, some of you as well. James, you too. Your social media campaigns, that's specifically you, James. Email follow-ups, it's you, Matt. And local community connections, Brennan, Nick, are actively generating interest and filling that pipeline for your events. Now, you may ask yourself the question, how the heck are our clients excited about our events? How do you create? And I want to ask the group from your perspective, how do you, and Paul, this is awesome for you too as a coach, because this has to do with your accountability big time. How do you create a buzz and excitement that permeates everything you do? Your classes, your social media, your email, all creates a buzz and excitement that permeates. It's everywhere. Everywhere is like, oh man, are you still, we got winter camp coming up. That's awesome. We have new games coming. Brennan is going to be leading it. Did you know Brennan's leading the winter camp? Oh my gosh, are you going to be there for that? Like, how do you do that? And I just gave away a little bit, but how do you do that? How do you create a buzz and excitement that permeates all of it? I want you to share from your accountability. Let's hear from like two people and someone other than Nick. Sorry, I see you getting ready to share, Nick, but give someone else a chance.
So what I would have to say about that is, as you mentioned, bringing it up in classes, like either before the class or even during the class, like bringing up like, hey, are you going to be there for winter camp? Or are you excited for the New Year's Jam that's happening on the 1st? Or
all right, pause for just a second. This is really good. So you just said something great, which was you had assumptive languaging. You were like, are you excited? You're leading them there. But I'm going to ask you this. Yeah. Stay right with me. This is great. How do you share about the event? Give me, like, pretend I'm a kid and I'm like, I'm little Jeremy. I'm 8 years old. You just got in front of me. Go.
So I would say something along the lines of, I'm going to be going to the New Year's Jam. Are you planning on being there, or are you planning on bringing your family or any friends? Like, should I keep my eye out for you? What's the situation there? Something along those lines.
Great. Yeah. Okay. Perfect. So James, right there, you did something really beautiful, which was you shared with them, I'm going to be there. Mm-hmm. Am I going to see you there? That's a crucial element. So for anyone on this call that is a coach or interacts face to face with people, this is absolutely huge, and it's inside of personal invitations. Hey, I personally would love to see you there. Are you going to be there? So James, you knocked that bit like straight out of the park. Nice job. And something else that I would include in an invitation like this is some sort of tying the event to the customer journey.
Okay.
And here's how I do that. It's very simple. And James, you already probably do this all the time, by the way. And that is saying something like, "Oh, dude, Jeremy, I know you're working on your flips, and coming up at the winter camp, did you know that Brennan is an instructor for that? He's so good at flips. That would be a great time for you to perfect your blah, 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 or to move from level 1 to 2, or this is a great chance to practice parkour for multiple days in a row. I know you're trying out for soccer next season. And so if you want parkour to assist your soccer development, you should try like more endurance. Come to like a whole week camp." So you're tying the invitation to their journey in some way. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Cool. And you probably already do a lot of that with your social media campaigning, I'm assuming, and your personal invitations. Yeah. Cool. Awesome. Dude, thanks so much for being the first one to go in the hot seat there. I appreciate that. That was brave. Popcorn it to someone else. Scary.
Let's see what Paul has to say.
Cool. So Paul, for you, the question is, how do you create a buzz and excitement within your accountability about events?
Yeah, so I always try to be like really enthusiastic whenever I'm trying to promote events to clients. I do like to do what you just said, like tie it into their journey. So for instance, last year when we had our elite competition team tryouts, I was sending for, one-on-one personal invitations to students talking about like, hey, I think this could really help improve your parkour skills. You'll get, an introduction to like how competition in a parkour setting works. I think it'd be really great for you to try it out. I mean, you're really skilled already. I see you in classes, and I'd love to see, how you perform in a competition setting. Yeah.
Dude, nicely done. Yeah. Perfect, Paul. And you can hear like the experience in what you're saying. It's very natural for you to make these invitations as a coach on the floor. So that's fantastic. Nicely done. Yeah. And that is what it looks like. If you're tending to now I'm going to zoom out a little bit for everyone on the call. Let's say I'm Paul, and I just had that conversation with a student about either a camp that is coming up 6 weeks from now, or competition season 8 months from now, joining next season. Now, does that work that I just did translate into immediate results? Does it happen right now? No. I'm seeing shaking heads for anyone that's just listening to this call. Everyone's shaking their head no. No, there's absolutely no immediate payoff to that invitation being made. There's absolutely no immediate payoff. That work that Paul just did is something that will translate 2 weeks from now, 4 weeks from now, 6 weeks from now, 8 months from now. But you can see how important it is to tend to generating that interest, because check this out. Bear with me. Check this out. All right. I do the daily work today. No result. I do the daily work the second day. No result. I do the daily work the third day. No result. I do the daily work the fourth day. No result. I do the daily work the fifth day. No result. I do the daily work the sixth day. No result. I do the daily work the seventh day. A little result. I do the daily work the eighth day. Result. I do the daily work the ninth day. Result. I do the daily work the 10th day. Lots of results. Lots of results. Oh my gosh, lots of results. But now check this out. Watch close, guys. Check this out. Lots of results are happening. I don't do the daily work the 11th day. Lots of results are happening. I don't do the daily work the 12th day. Lots of results are happening. Woohoo! I don't do the daily work the 13th day. Some results are happening. Cool. Nice. I don't do the daily work the 15th day. Oh, little results are happening now on the 16th day. I'm not going to do any work still. A little results are still happening. Day 17 comes around, no results. I do the daily work the 17th day, no results. I do the daily work the 18th day, no results. I do the daily work the 19th day, no results. I'm starting to feel pretty freaking crushed. So the moral of the story is, do not take your attention off of this daily work of nurturing these people into your events and creating an excitement and a buzz. And do not get fascinated with the results that you are producing in such a way that you take your attention off of the actions that produced those results. Am I making sense? Okay. All right. That's a word to the wise. Do not take your attention off of the daily results. And you may find yourself in a period where no results are happening, but it may look busy. You should look 6 weeks ago. You should look 12 weeks ago. That's where the work wasn't done. Not today. You may be urgent and stressed, and you may seem overwhelmed and busy today, but that's a function of you not doing the work that was required 6 weeks ago, 12 weeks ago. Okay. Are you starting to get a world of this? Okay, cool. All right. Okay. Human nature resists doing the work required for future outcomes. The rewards are always intangible and distant, while the effort is always immediate and demanding. Yet, the crux of sustained growth is always pain now, reward later. You got to get that. So the immediate temptation is, hey, it feels easier to skip or delay today's work, and we can convince ourselves that we're going to manage it later. But that comfort of the present is going to overshadow the consequences of a very unprepared future. And you all probably have come across this unprepared future multiple times in your accountabilities. I know I have. And the consequences are, when that future arrives and you're unprepared, suddenly it's chaos, suddenly it's urgent, suddenly you're burnt out and you miss your targets and you're stressed. And more importantly, listen closely to this. This is the real sacrifice. The foundation of your long-term success weakens. You shoot yourself in the foot for sustainability. So building this type of gym is going to require a high level of maturity on everyone's part on this call. You've got to be able to see beyond the immediate relief to act in service of a rewarding future. It's a choice that you've got to make in your accountabilities to somewhat endure the discomfort of the hard work that you have to do to plan these things in advance. And in return for that work, you get stability and you get growth and you get peace of mind and you get confidence in your positions. And when your preparation for events becomes a habit, your environment will shift completely. Your weeks are going to begin with confidence, not uncertainty. And your teams, every team, your sales department, your marketing team, your coaching staff, they're going to begin operating with freedom, not frustration. So I'm going to create for you now the distinction of a pipeline, and then I'm going to get into the actual targeting file with you guys and hand it over to you, and you can start playing with it. So let's talk about a pipeline, all right? This is a new conversation. So I'm going to just do a quick 360, all right, to signify that this is a new conversation.
Stopping the previous conversation.
All right, guys. New conversation. You ready? Pipeline. What the heck's a pipeline? Well, guys, a pipeline isn't a system. It's not a system. It's not a system. Okay. Targeting file, that's a system. I'm going to give you that system. A pipeline is a heartbeat. Okay. A pipeline is it's your blood. It's the literally the blood of your gym. Okay. It ensures that one opportunity flows consistently from one time to another. All right. So let me tell you a little bit more about this. You want to create opportunities to fill the pipeline early. And you'll see this in the example targeting file I'm going to show. But what that looks like is maybe you've connected with local schools. Maybe you know about some local city celebration where they're going to be requesting like a booth setup. Maybe there's a local church that needs a live performance. And so you have got to know about those opportunities as far in advance as you can. That's the first thing you want to do. Collect all of those opportunities as much as you can. And maybe there are people that you've worked with in the past that have like consistent events. You reach out to them. Hey, when's this thing coming up? Or every November, there's this one event on this weekend. So you'll want to know what those are and start gathering the pipeline, start filling the pipeline. Okay, that's the first thing. Number two, okay, so that's the first thing, filling the pipeline. Number two is tracking the pipeline. Okay, you want to measure what matters. Measure what matters always. New leads generated, conversion rates, engagement trends, whatever. You want to just regularly review what the heck is going on. And I will show you this, guys. It is going to blow your freaking mind when I show you this, because you're going to have full visibility of the gaps. You're going to be like, holy crap, I can see the lull. I can see the dip. That's awesome. All right. So that's tracking the pipeline. There's filling the pipeline. There's tracking the pipeline. Now, number three is maintaining the pipeline. And that's the weekly work to ensure that the opportunities that you're creating today become confirmed registrations in 5 weeks or more. If you miss a single week of this, it will completely disrupt the flow of the pipeline. And you'll see it. You'll see it. I'm going to show you in a minute. You're going to actually be able to, with your own very eyes, see this pipeline. It's so cool. Okay, great. So that is pipeline creation and pipeline growth. And now for you, Brennan, specifically, the secret to a thriving community events as a general manager is it lies in knowing exactly what's coming up 13 weeks in advance, at least 13 weeks. For these guys, 2 weeks is okay. 4 weeks is okay, depending on their timeline. For you, you have to be God, Emperor of mankind, and see far into the future, okay? As far as you possibly can. So I'm talking like at least 13 weeks, all right? A quarter, if you can. So that's going to give you the ability to have foresight and plan and prepare and make sure that everyone else is doing what they need to be doing. They're sharing the upcoming events with current members. You're weaving that these events are happening into the very fabric of the conversations that are happening in the gym. Each conversation in the gym, every personal invitation, the whole social buzz that is created that has this larger narrative happening in your gym about why events are so cool. And then you're using classes as platforms to highlight these events. You're sparking this excitement and anticipation like what Paul was talking about. And when you're consistently showcasing the value and energy of these future offerings, you're going to cultivate a culture. Listen close to this. Guys, this is really what you want. You want to cultivate a culture of participation. And it doesn't just fill spots. It creates a vibrant and memorable experience for people. It's when you get those raving reviews where they're like, my kid didn't want to go to Disneyland. They had to come to your parkour camp, Okay. All right, I'm going to stop there. Are there any questions right now about pipeline creation and growth? Our natural human tendency to resist the work we have to do now in return for the payoff of comfort and how we subject ourselves to urgency in the future. Any questions or comments about anything I've said so far before we move into the next piece? Cool. Is anyone confused? Okay. All right. Don't you worry, child. Christopher has targeting or you. Yes.
I don't think you realize how funny it is that you called Brennan God Emperor. We have a bit at Swift where we call him glorious leader or God or deity, and he really hates it. So that's so funny.
That's so funny. That's so funny. I refer to Jimmy as God Emperor of mankind sometimes, and he also hates it. I mean, who wouldn't? It's like, it's a weird thing to be related to as, and I was like, nah, it's a compliment. And then I had him watch some Warhammer lore. So, that's hilarious.
There's two sides. The worst part is on Monday, I'm literal trash.
Yeah,
And
he like
over the
scales
week-
throughout the week. By Sunday,
Scales
he's
throughout the week.
yeah.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
Unironically, I'm better with trash than God Emperor, though. That's fine.
Oh, that is hilarious. Hey, power and leadership suits those who want it least. That's why Seth is the CEO and you're the general manager, and I'm doing what I'm doing. So, woohoo! If you don't anyway, if you're not at least a little reluctant, then you're probably not like a fantastic leader. So that's just how it is a bit. All right, guys, let's jump back into it. This is going to change your life. I can say that like 100% confidently because it's happened to every person I've introduced it to. So if it doesn't change yours, you're the weirdo and you're the exception. All right, here we go. So this is an example targeting file for how to fill your classes and your events and also ensure foresight is happening. So I'm going to explain kind of each cell of this. And because of the work that we did originally earlier in the call, this context should fit very nicely and neatly into this sheet. I invite you, if at any time you have a question or I'm moving too fast or you'd like me to make a clarification on something, just hop right in and interrupt me. You know, you can also raise your digital hand. That's totally fine. It doesn't matter. Just get my attention and we will totally stop what we're doing and make sure that you get the clarification you need. This builds on itself. So don't let me move on if there's something you don't understand. Is that understandable for everyone? Is that clear? Okay, cool. All right. Thank you. Okay, here we go. This right up here, this because I manage 3 locations, I have 3 different places. And so this is just the Murrieta Center. You guys could just have Swift here. And this is the classes sheet. Now, this is the quarter that we're in. We're in quarter 4, year 2024. This tells you who prepared the sheet. That's me. Eventually, like you would put your general manager's initials there or whoever's like ultimately responsible for the sheet. Could be you, Seth, as well. And then this is the date that like I created the sheet. Okay. Over here on the left is the key. So this makes it easy to track what's in the opportunity set. So remember when I said a pipeline is about nurturing, you know, the opportunities that you have for growth. These are the opportunities that you have to fulfill on your target. So if the target is a literal target I'm shooting at, then these are my resources. This is my bow. This is my arrow. This is like every chance that I have in the world to actually do what I said I would do and grow my gym. Green signifies camps. Camps are events, right? Yellow signifies birthday parties. And by the way, I'm currently in the process of having the focus of a birthday party be to share an authentic experience of what it's like to participate with us in a class and then make a powerful invitation for people to join our community and register with us with a special deal. So birthday parties are for us going to be like a very big source of revenue generation and community growth. So that's why I have birthday parties here in this key. Red is outside events. So if I'm working with like a school or a church or a community center or anyone, if a competition that I'm doing outside of my gym, it's somewhere outside of my gym, I'm going to that and doing something there, but it's a lead generating event. That's red. Blue is an in-house event. Now, this could be a parents' night out. This could be a showcase. This could be a competition. It's really just like any indoor events. I know you guys have Nerf nights. Anything your guys' director of fun does can go right here into this category. So that's a place to play. Now, for you, Nick, and Matthew, and Sterling, and also Brennan, anyone that is like managing events in any way, you will be now be able to see all of the events at a glance at the quarter. So you'll see down here, this is the week ending. This is week ending 10/4, so that's Friday. 10/11, that's a Friday. These are all Fridays, leading all the way up to the end of December. And so I can see, okay, in the week of 10/4, I have one parents' night out. So that tells me, if I'm Matt, that tells me if I have a parents' night out and I have to send out a communication 4 weeks from now to let them know about it a month in advance or 2 weeks in advance, I'd be able to just pull up this sheet, see that, oh, here I am. Let's imagine for a second, everyone, bear with me. C10-4 on this cell. Let's pretend I'm right here. It is October 3rd. So I'm in this week right here, right? Now I look all the way out and I see, oh, there's a fall showcase on the 25th. Oh, I see on the October 25th. Here I am, October 3rd, looking at this sheet and I say, oh, there's the fall showcase out there. What are the actions I need to do now that I'm 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks out from this event? What are the actions that I need to do for this? Okay, so that can kind of inform you there. Anytime an event is created, it can be populated into each one of these cells. So you can have I can have multiple events in 1 week. It depends on what you guys can do. So that would inform you about that schedule there. And that is just this top section. This is like your opportunity. And it also informs you like what I was talking about earlier, Nick. In the week of 11/8, I have nothing scheduled. All right. I could probably pop some. Let me see who has a birthday scheduled for November out of our clients. And I'm going to reach out to all of those people and schedule someone in that week. I'm going to get a birthday party there. Or now that I'm 6 weeks away from this event, I'm going to get to Brennan and request that we host a specialized workshop to account for that we don't have an event in that week. So I'm going to fill those spots. I'm going to fill those up. So that way, there's consistent opportunities every week. So this shows you where your gaps are if this is accurate and up to date and in use. It's super useful. All right. So the other thing that I do here before I move on to it looked complicated. I know it looks like a mess of numbers. It's going to be really simple, I promise. Before I get into that, I'm just going to address this over here on the right side. All this is telling me what's coming up the next quarter. I can only see 13 weeks in advance. So imagine I get to week 13 or 12 or 11, I'm in here. My visibility starts to shorten as I get to the end of my targeting file. So this just tells me what's coming up that I really need to also be worried about towards the end of the targeting file. I just do that for myself. But also, guys, I make my next targeting file pretty far in advance. So I increase my foresight. I have 3 months of foresight. I try to have that. 1 month is sufficient. Okay. Or sorry, 1 quarter is sufficient. 1 quarter is sufficient. This one sheet, as long as you have this updated every quarter, this is good. I am overkill. Okay, before I move on, does anybody have any questions about the top line, the key, how these cells are used, the week ending date, anything like that, how you could use this in your accountability, how you could use this to inform you? Does anyone have any questions? Want me to elaborate on anything further? Is anybody confused? Now's the time to get clarification because it all gets built on what's on this.
I guess one question for birthdays, for example, are those slots that are getting filled or when somebody signs up for a birthday that's getting placed in here?
Yes. Yeah, so that would require, you would now attach this to that accountability. So what I do is I have my sales director check for birthdays at each location. And when they're scheduled, he's notified. And so he updates the tracker. And so that's the system that works for us and you'll see in a moment, every cell has a specific accountability. And this is going to inform you, Brennan and Seth, on how to delegate this. And people can kind of be like, yeah, I want to do that category or I want to do that category. So, all right.
One other question. You mentioned,
yeah, please.
I'm not using this mic. You mentioned scheduling classes in here, but this is obviously all the event stuff. Is classes alongside this or?
Great question. Great question. Yeah. So if you look down on the bottom of this sheet, there's a camps and events tab.
Right.
So that's its own separate targeting file specifically for camps and events. Now check this out. I'm so glad you asked that because anyone's going to have that question. This targeting file, all of these numbers represent your trial student to full-time member conversions. That's it. That's all the classes tab represents.
Cool.
Camps and events represents your camp registrations. So these numbers here that you're seeing all correlate to, did someone come to a trial class and did they register out of that trial class? Specifically, did they register? It's the closing. It's a close. So that's all of this is, but check this out. These, if related to properly, can be opportunities to fulfill on this. Okay. So if, outside of that, these can be lead generating events if treated properly. We're about to get into that. All right. Any other questions or clarifications about this? Going once. And if you do have any questions, it really helps for anyone listening, because I guarantee, if you have that question, someone else does. So I'll give it 10 more seconds. Cool. All right. Let's get into this section here. So each one of these categories, walk-ins, sales team, current customers, outside events, birthday parties, those are just what I have determined to be the most common sources of registrations for classes. So someone literally just like walking in off of the street because they saw our building or saw like a sign on the road or something. It's independent of like my Facebook marketing or Instagram or anything like that. It's like someone just like saw us and walked in. Usually like one of those happens per week. Now, if you look over here, here's the category, walk in, pay close attention. This is the category. This is the target. So the target is 1. The goal for this week, 10-4, is 1. That's the target. That's what I'm shooting for, is 1 walk-in. What actually happened that week is one person walked in. So now this is the cumulative target and the cumulative actual. So the cumulative target, what I targeted cumulatively, and you'll see this goes up as time goes on. So week 1, I targeted 1. Okay, so the cumulative target is 1. Week 2, I targeted 1. Okay, so the cumulative target is 2, because 1 + 1 = 2. So this tells you at the very end of the quarter, how many registrations should I have? 13, because I had 1 per week, right? So that tells you the cumulative target. Now, cumulative actual, this is really important, guys. This tells you where you are in relationship to your target as the weeks go on. So this week I did 1 and I targeted 1. Did I keep my target? Yes or no? Yes. Okay, good. Week 2 with walk-ins, I targeted 1. I got 1. Did I keep my target? Yes or no? Okay, good. Week 3, targeted 1, actual 1. Yep. Week 4, targeted 1, actual 1. Yep. Week 5, targeted 1, actual 1. Week 6, targeted 1, actual 1. Week 7, we went off. All right. Now you'll see what happens there is, even though the following weeks I kept my word, one-on-one, I'm behind by 1 registration now consistently in the quarter. So that tells me like I have 1 to make up somewhere right away. Okay. But let's just assume we're still just in week 1. Week 2 hasn't happened yet. Okay. Person walked in. Woohoo. Let's go down to the sales team. All right. Now, at this point, I would like this to be more interactive. So as I ask questions, feel free, if you're following along, to just call out the answer. Okay. So if you'd like to participate in this game and show that you are understanding this, come off of mute. All right. So for the sales team, the weekly target, what did I target for the sales team for this week?
5.
For the week of 10-4. Very good. Yes. How many did they actually do?
5.
Very good. Now, examine the trend of the sales team and tell me which week we fell off of our target.
3.
Very good. By how many?
2.
Okay, awesome. If I'm in week 6, how many behind am I for the quarter to date in the sales team?
4.
Very good. Very good. Nicely done. Okay, so you can see how this is beginning to inform you. Now, stay off mute. I want you to speculate with me here. So that's the sales team. That is like all of my, if my lead generation is proper and I'm doing that well, and my sales team is reaching out to their leads, they're reliable for doing 5. Okay. Maybe something happened here in this week where they did 2. Maybe I had 2 sales members that were sick, and like Brennan had to cover the front desk and coach a camp. So naturally your leads would drop there. But you would be able to say why and where it happened. That's the importance of this. Okay. So that's the walk-ins. That's the sales team. Usually whoever is accountable for the sales team is whoever's like sales team lead is updating this every week. Okay. General manager is updating the walk-ins category. They just are kind of there every day. So they know like, oh, this person like came in or the sales team informs them. Now, here's an important category. Current customers. This is the work Paul was pointing to big time. This is anyone that registers or a new person because they brought them. It's a friend referral. Literally, that's what this category is. Now, somebody just tell me, if I'm looking at this and 10 weeks has already happened, what does this tell me about my friend referral program right away?
It's not working.
Yeah, it is not working. Why is that useful?
So you can make changes.
Okay, good. Yes. Why else is that useful?
Proactive.
Very good. It shifts. Seth, I love you. It definitely shifts you from reactive to proactive. Very good. Why else is this useful? All right. Yeah, go ahead.
And sort of make changes.
Yes. What are you able to identify? You're doing good. That's good.
You're able to identify the fact that something isn't going through with getting customers to sign up.
Yes, James. Awesome. You can actually zoom in on the problem. So if I'm examining each pipeline source, I can say, oh, that's where the work really isn't happening or being done. This would inform me as a general manager and say, we are not utilizing our current customers at all. How do we do that? How do we boost friend referrals? So that's a whole conversation in of itself. But why don't we just get a few on the table? What are some ways that right off the bat you would think to increase this number for having people refer more friends? What are some things you could immediately implement? What are some short-term fixes here? Like, let's say I'm in week 3 and I'm like, oh, a third 0. What could I put in right here in week 3 so that suddenly I'm getting a 1, a 1, a 2, a 1, a 1? What do I change right here that fixes this and makes this happen? 0, 0, 0, and then this happens. What happened here?
Bring a friend day or bring a friend week.
Okay, bring a friend day or bring a friend week. Love that. What else? What else happened there?
More consistent in-person invites, talking to families, talking to kids.
Yes, and how would you inspire that?
Hey, I'm going to steal this from Seth. Hey, who else do you know that would want to take this class? Who else do you know that would love Nerf Night?
Nick, you're so good because you're a high performer, and I can tell you are used to doing things on your, like, you're used to being the guy that like does stuff, which is great. But let's imagine I'm Brennan. How the heck do I inspire you, Nick, to do that? How do I make sure you're actually doing that and everyone's doing that? That's what I want to know.
Gotcha.
What happened right here such that structure was like every single person was being a high performer like you just said? What happened?
I'm not sure.
Very good. That's awesome. Now we're in a realm of discovery. This is great. This is great. How the heck would I make that happen? Now, look, this is a situation. This is so awesome. This is a situation where you can try on a jacket. There are a million jackets in the world, and you can try it on. And if it fits, dude, awesome. That jacket looks great on you. You should totally wear that. But if it doesn't fit, just take it off and try another jacket. I will tell you what I do to have this happen. And that is doing something called, okay, now there's a few different ways you could take this, but I'm just going to be completely honest with you. I do that in a way called fomenting a crisis. What does the word foment mean? Someone look up the word foment. What does foment mean? Computer spell foment.
Instigate.
Very good. Instigate. Stir up. Yeah, all right. Stir up. I'm instigating something. I'm stirring something up. Okay, so if I'm fomenting a crisis, what does that mean? What does that look like?
Stress testing or pretending what kind of systems would break your current system.
Not quite. Thank you for jumping out there. Not quite. Think about it more in the way of the action I want to inspire is Nick is now really tending to personal invitations. Paul is now really tending to personal invitations. What is fomenting a crisis have to do with that? And like stirring one up, like creating one, leading one. Yes, Seth, please.
Yeah, I mean, relevant example from last year's. Hey guys, if we don't get
5 more signups by Friday, we're gonna have to cancel summer camp for this week.
Yes. Now, okay. Very good. This is great. Okay. That's an actual crisis. There was actually a consequence on the line there. There was actually a consequence on the line there, which was we are going to cancel the camp. Now, that is distinct from fomenting a crisis. Now, you did stir up, you did get on the horn, you did alert everyone, but that's still like, hey, this is a crisis, and that's important. You should totally do that. But that's distinct from something called fomenting a crisis. So fomenting a crisis, if that's it, I'll give you guys another shot at this too if you want, because it's fun. This is fun. I love this. So fomenting, if that's a real crisis, what's fomenting a crisis? What's the difference?
Maybe like just sort of, if you guys don't do this, then we're going to have, I don't know, like a conversation or something, or this man
still a real consequence.
Like you make up a fake crisis, like that.
Yes.
Like, I don't know, like us not getting enough referrals is going to lead to, I don't know.
Oh, you're starting to dip in a real crisis. This is good. No, guys, this is awesome. Now, the question is, because you can hear, oh my God, you guys are brilliant. This is awesome. You can hear you're starting to create the urgency, but how do I create the urgency without creating a consequence? You guys are starting to bring real consequences into the conversation. And this is distinct. This is really something that's missing in your team. Okay? This is awesome. You really want to get this. There's something distinct about fomenting a crisis that is different from actually having a crisis. And guys, it's okay. You're all saying the right things. You should have consequences attached to not performing, but this is distinct. I'm trying to stir up. I'm trying to inspire Nick to every day speak from his heart and share like what parkour is and this like excitement about this event that is coming up and inviting his friends. Dude, I want your friend to experience exactly what you got out of this, the confidence you gained. I want your friend to have that. How do I inspire Nick to do that? By fomenting a crisis. Now, you want to get what we've distinguished already. You guys have done a lot of heavy lifting, is that there's an actual crisis. There are situations where it's like, oh, there's an actual consequence to not performing here. There's an actual real consequence to not performing here, which is we're going to cancel the camp. Versus how do we create urgency without a sense of consequence and punishment? That is the distinction of fomenting a crisis. How do we do that?
Well, that'd just be sharing, like, it would be, imagine how awesome it would be if we get a full whatever.
Yes. You're right there, and you've got to, okay. All right, guys, I'm sorry. I got to go there. Has anybody seen Jujutsu Kaisen? You know, when Gojo mixes blue and red, we got to mix them both right here. So let me show you guys what that looks like for me. Okay, let me show you guys. I'm going to pretend you all are my general managers and head coaches, and I'm going to foment a crisis with you on a call. Okay. So first of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to post in the chat, hey guys, I just noticed a very alarming trend, and I'd love to hop with you all on a call so that we can tackle this together side by side. Okay. So I'm going to send a message like that into the chat, get everybody onto a call, and I'm going to say, okay, guys, look at this. I'm going to pop up the targeting file. I just noticed for these 3 weeks, we have had zero friend referrals, even though we've targeted 7. We are behind by 7 registrations in the quarter for our current customers getting friend referrals. Now, the impact of that is like our community is not expanding. And more than that, this specific section is around announcements and around our coaching staff. You know what that tells me? That tells me, hey, head coaches, guys, what's going on with our personal invitations? What's going on with our announcements? And then I would ask them, And they would say, oh, yeah, actually, like, I've noticed, and this has been a real thing. I've noticed that announcements have been like a little lackluster lately, or people haven't been as passionate about them. Let me just like rebrief them on, hey, guys, let's not have informative announcements like here's the date and time, but let's actually create some excitement around it. Like, oh, man, this next camp that's coming up, I'll make sure to do that. And it's like, okay, cool. So you're tending to that. So basically what everyone's doing is everybody's getting on board with the crisis. They're like, okay, I'm noticing this trend. What you don't hear me saying is I'm not like, if you don't get these registrations up, people are screwed. What you would hear me saying is like, what's a game we can play? What's a game we can play to get this up? Something that I love to do with head coaches, and you will see this right here in this section. I might as well just say this right now since we're here. But I will actually have my coaches, let's pretend I'm a head coach. I'll go to my head coaches and I'll say, hey guys, the week is October 4th and the game this week is only one registration for an event, for having one of our customers register into a camp or something like that. That's what this game is. So I'm going to go over to Matthew and I'm going to say, hey, Matthew, I'm curious. The game is one registration this week. How many people in your classes are you going to personally extend an invitation to? I'm doing 5. So I'm going to put 5 for myself. Matthew, how many are you doing? How many people are you going to just like personally invite to this camp?
I'll one up you. I'll go like 6.
6? Dang, nice, dude. Okay, cool. How about for you, Seth?
I'm only coaching one class this week. I'll invite 5.
5? Okay, 5 in one class. Personal invitations. High performer, as always. Okay. Nick, how many people are you inviting?
I know I'm pretty busy with a lot of family stuff, so I'm going to shoot for let's go 3.
3. Perfect. Thank you so much, dude. I really appreciate you making time for personal invitations despite being super busy with family stuff. That is freaking awesome, man. Thank you. And how about for you, James?
I'd say I'm teaching probably 2 classes in the weeks or 2 days of the week. So probably like 4.
4? Okay, cool. Awesome. And then how about for you, Paul?
Yeah, my classes are usually pretty small, so I'm going to go with 3.
Nice. Awesome. Now, what I would do as Brennan is I would add these up. 6 plus 5, 11 plus 5, 16 plus 3 is 19 plus 4 is 23 plus 3 is 26. So on a promise of 1 registration, I have 26 promised actions. Do you think one's going to translate? Probably. If you guys actually do that, it would. So then I go back here. If I did that, you can see how this would begin trending up, right? If I did that work I just did with you every week, at the beginning of every week, I looked at this and I said, how many people have I promised this week? 3? Cool. Let me just go manage personal invitations. And let me, and you don't have to foment a crisis unless you notice a trend like this, but you can also create a game. I love just all 3 of my gyms have games going on at all times. It's fun. There's no consequences attached. If 26 promises are made and nobody registers, I may be like, what the heck happened? Oh, I didn't check in on those people. I didn't manage those promises. I didn't check in with Paul after class. Hey, Paul, how'd those personal invitations go? Oh, I did 2 out of the 3, and one of them said that he would register. Dude, Paul, thanks so much for doing that. James, how'd that go with you? Oh, actually, like my family stuff was a little bit too much. I didn't get to make any. Oh, that's okay. Thanks so much for letting me know. It's that simple. It's that easy. And the fomenting part is like, there's not actually a crisis. You're creating one to stir up something, to create a result, to get the team collaborating. So it's kind of a different context around crisis. Does that make sense? Cool. All right. So I have a couple more things to go over here with you guys before this fully makes sense, and not a lot of time to do it. So prepare to, if you're thirsty, drink some water from a fire hose. It's going to be a little intense, okay? All right. Outside events. That one's obvious. This is leads that translate from outside events. What do you notice? Someone share with me. In this trend, what's an obvious thing that you just notice big time right away? What's a big one that you just see?
Y'all did something big on the 25th.
Very good. What was that? What did we do that was huge?
Outside events or in-house?
All showcase.
Very good. And you would look at that. Yeah. And it could be Nicholas, very good. That could be runoff from, I just did this event last week and those leads are translating this week from here. And I had a fall showcase this week. So that was like just a huge freaking week for outside events, and also like fall showcase happened big time, but also that could generate leads even further down the future. Right. So that just tells you right away, like, oh, maybe we should have more outside events with this place. Maybe we should have more let's work with Coal Canyon some more, or do that more. So that would inform you about what was really effective right away. Like, oh, that was super effective. And then you would be able to kind of create more things like that because you noticed that trend immediately. Does that make sense? Cool. All right. Now here's where it gets a bit tricky after birthday parties. Birthday parties also is pretty obvious. This one was real. I noticed like, oh, we're getting like 0 registrations at birthday parties, but we're getting like 70 kids a month in here that aren't taking our programs. What the heck is happening? So that just informed me that like we just weren't really making any offers for them to join our classes. They were just literally just running a birthday party. So, all right, now here's where it gets tricky, guys. Lean in. You have all had such a generous listening for this last hour and a half. You've done really well. This is the last bit of attention that I'm going to request of you, and give it your all because it's really important. So my gross, this is how many total registrations I targeted for the week. Total registrations. I targeted how many?
11.
Very good. I did how many?
11.
Very good. Okay, now for outs, that's how many people canceled that week. How many people dropped? How many did I target?
No.
1.
Very good. How many actually dropped?
1.
Very good. So what's 11 minus 1?
And back.
Okay, does that equal my net?
Yeah.
All right. This bottom column is your most important column right here. This tells you what you've targeted for the quarter for class registrations. And this tells you where you're actually at per week. This is what actually informs your trends here. Okay. So did I meet my target? Am I right on track? Cool. Yes, I did. Very good. All right. Next week. Did I meet my target? Am I right on track?
Nope.
Okay. Someone tell me where I went off.
Current customers, outside
Yep.
events, birthday parties.
Yeah, that's huge. So I took a hit from multiple categories there. That's pretty nasty. All right. Next week. So I'm 7 behind. Next week, let's go to week 3. How many am I behind quarter to date in week 3? Someone tell me.
9.
9. Am I? Is it 9?
No, that's
Or minus 18.
14.
Target to date, week 3.
Oh, sorry, Jesus.
16.
Oh my God, math is hard.
Yeah, 16.
Very good. Very good. Target to date, week 3. I'm behind by 16. All right. Why?
because last week you fell behind by 7, and also this week you fell behind by 9.
Very good. Very good.
Outside events was huge.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So now you can see this huge victory that's coming up. What is this huge victory actually doing? Look at that for my quarter to date.
Just helping you catch up a little bit.
It only just barely helped me almost catch up. And you would celebrate it? You better. But you guys see what I mean? How it's like this really actually informs you what's really going on in your gym. What's really going on in your gym. Okay. Now, this is classes. You guys will have to do the work to say, all right, this is what our projected like increase in members is. I would create this number. This is for you, Seth. By the way, Seth, I'm happy to make this with you. I would create this number to be predictable. Try to make this something predictable if you can. Obviously, I was way off because this is 52 on a promise of 104. When you very first implement this, you can't hold Brennan to account for it until you get accurate targeting, unless it's like obvious negligence. But after like a quarter or two, you can start to get a bit more predictable. And then that's where holding people to account for their performance in this comes into effect. For now, this should just provide everybody foresight into what the heck is actually happening in your gym. Where are registrations actually coming from? What is happening 13 weeks in advance? And what should I be doing? Now, the very last category, and since we already went over all of this will be easy for you, is camps and events. And that is just, hey, Someone registered on the web. They walked in. They registered for a camper event. This is not classes. This is only applying to my fall camps and my winter camps. Okay. This is your short-term cash flow. I've promised 70 registrations because 70 registrations means these 3 camps are completely full. Okay. So I've targeted. Now, here's what's important. By the way, everyone, I just want to acknowledge that we are at our scheduled time. I'm requesting 5 more minutes of your time to complete this call. If you have to go, communicate with Seth, but I'm going to continue. And I just want to stop to acknowledge that because my word was to end at 11. All right, moving forward. Web and walk-in. That's all. Anything that's happening on marketing from, I say Jimmy, but for you, it'll be like Seth. This sales team, this is Nick. Nick, this is huge for you. This is reaching out to previous camp members. This is talking to people as they're walking out the door. This is, I know I'm intimate and aware of a large number of people that have account credit on file, and I'm going to put a calling list together and specifically reach out to them and invite them to register for these camps. And look, guys, look at this. Does this say the first camp that's coming up is 11/29? Does this say wait until week 7 to begin registering people for the camp? I'm registering. I have 41 people registered 2 weeks before that camp even starts. My winter camps are almost full at that point, and my fall camps are completely full by 2 weeks out. You got to get your head around that, because I can almost guarantee, I don't know, but I can almost guarantee that's not that. This is kind of what's happening in your gym, probably like 2 or 3 weeks out, people begin registering. You want to extend that as far back as possible. How you do that is you start talking to people way faster. And look, one person from current customers. Hey, Jeremy, I know you register for winter camp every year. There's an early bird special going on, or secure that spot. Can I just charge the card on file? Yeah, go for it. Make those promises happen. Make those registrations happen. This is all coaches right here. This is all sales team. This is all marketing. You don't got to worry about this as much. People are just going to register anyway. About half of your camps are filled from just people are going to register online. The rest is up to you, my boys and girls and non-binaries. All right. Okay. That is the camp and event fill sheet. And obviously the same opportunities exist for both. Okay. So what you populate here, you populate in the other, and this is where you manage short-term promises. So this is where you manage inviting people. Hey, how many people are you going to have invite to the winter camp? How many people are you going to have invite? And you manage those every week. And then something super cool. Check this out. Ooh, sexy. You can start actually seeing a trend. Wow. Nick is like spot on with his promises. Paul, holy crud. When he says he's going to personally invite someone registers for a camp almost every single time I go to him. Anytime I go to Gregory, he promises 16 personal invites and no one ever registers from him. What the heck is up with that? So I'd be able to track that and see that over all of these periods of time and kind of, then I'd have something to talk about with that person. Not necessarily punish them, but just be like, hey, what's going on there? Okay, I did a lot of talking. I'm going to pause there and say, hey, any questions about this sheet, how it's used, how you could use it in your accountability? I'm going to be sending over a template for you guys to use. It'll look just like this, and you can create it any way you want. But yeah, any questions, comments?
One of the main things that comes to mind looking at this is that we have a lot of system tracking and stuff in place, and this kind of blends in some specific information from several different places and unify as a place for all of us to come to act on this. Trying to like keep everything more like streamlined with what we need to do and actually how we need to act on it, especially in a long-term sense. Because right now I personally struggle with a lot of that foresight and actually utilizing a lot of the information that is available because it's everywhere. And it's
Yep. Here's what you can do. And I love that you said that. Guys, you can hear that you're speaking as a general manager right now, and you're located as a general manager right now. And I love that about you. There's two things I can do for you that will support you in this. One, you're welcome to join myself and my general managers in our sessions where we fill this out, which is like a 15-minute session. And the way that I track this is I use my Pike 13, which tells me if someone actually registered that week. I filter by the week. So for the week of 10/4, if I'm looking at October 4th, that includes everything from September 28th, which is that Saturday, all the way to October 4th. So that's the week. I'd filter that week and I'd see who registered. Then I compare that to my KPI tracker and commission sheet from my sales team and look at the actual memberships that they sold. And I have a number between those two. It's like, usually they should match, but they're close. And then I'm like, okay, then I'm left with like, all right, there are 9 total registrations that happened that week. That's simple. Now I know as Brennan, 9 total registrations happened this week. Now I can split those up. How many of those came from the sales team? Okay, 5 of them. How many of those came from the walk-ins? 1 of them. How many of those came from an outside event? 2 of them. Okay, so now I'm left with 1, and I don't know where that 1 came from. I'm going to give that to my coaches because I just assumed that, and so you have like a little wiggle room like that, but work with your real statistics. So that way your gross out net, this is the most important thing. As long as your gross out net matches, you're chilling. The rest, you're just trying to identify where this stuff is coming from. Okay. And like I said, I do that with Pike 13. I do that with the KPI and commission tracker sheet. And then I also use my exit survey. So I see how many outs came because when people cancel, they take an exit survey. So I just look at that and I just make sure that that's accurate. And then I can calculate my churn. So that's what I would say to you is make sure you have those 2 sources. And then also you're welcome to join me on my calls with my general managers that I do this with. And I do this every week. So I just take 5 minutes or 10 minutes to just look at those numbers at that Friday night or that Saturday morning. And then I do that work the next Saturday. And then I do that work the next Saturday. And it takes 5 minutes. Yeah. All right. Any questions about that? Because I know it comes from a lot of different places. You got to kind of figure out where they come from. I know I had to with my own systems. But yeah, that's what I use.
I definitely need to find something that works a little bit better for me if I'm going to start utilizing it to that extent. It definitely does not flow as smoothly as that.
Do you have a way to just say, this is how many memberships were sold this week in this 7-day period? Can you determine that number?
Currently, I have a difficulty trying to figure out information. I utilize information on a monthly basis from Nicole, and then my other source.
Listen to me. You got to get at the source of generating that number for yourself, lickety split, right now, like after this call or whatever today, this week, figure that out. Figure out how to track that. Like you've got to have your finger on that pulse more than anyone. Like sure. You got to know the moment of registration happens in your gym and you're tallying that up. Okay. That's going to be you got to do that. All right.
I did miss explaining this. It is we have it tracked in Discord so I can see over the last week anyone that joins us. And then there's another source. Sometimes it's just a little weird to look at. So
good. One of mine is weird to look at too. Yeah. And so that's why I'm saying have 2 sources. Okay. So you have your Discord and you have, what's the other one?
You can do it through 7 Kleiner, I believe.
Okay. So every Saturday, you're going to look at the messages from that 7-day period and compare it to what's in Zen Planner and see if there's any discrepancies to notice. And I usually, Brennan, what I do, because I'm a nice guy, is I take the bigger number, not the smaller one. And I use that for my targeting. You know what I mean? So if Discord says 12 memberships were sold and Zen Planner says 10, take the 12. Okay. And then if there's a huge discrepancy at the end, you can say, oh, it came from that I took this bigger number, right? Which should only account for hopefully not too many. All right. Any questions about that, Brennan?
No, thank you. And then I'd be excited to jump on for a Friday session with you guys.
Sweet. Sounds good. All right. Any other questions from anyone else? But what about this? Yeah, Seth, go for it.
Yeah, I think the biggest question I have is basically juggling lots of upcoming things. So
Yeah.
it seems like you have classes on one tab. I guess this would essentially mostly be like winter camps on this like next tab.
Yeah,
But
the
then
camps and events tab.
would you also be having summer camps going into that?
No. Great question. Yeah, great question. So no, you want to identify like what the 80% of your income from events are and track those and manage those. And the reason why is because if you really track and manage the majority of the income, the rest of it can be fun, and it doesn't have to be like something that you massively hold people to account for. That 20% can be like, cool, if it happens, it happens, but it doesn't freaking matter because 30 people are registered for my fall camp, 30 people are registered for both weeks of my winter camp. So it doesn't matter. That's what I track is those registrations. I don't count like if someone registered for a parents' night out, that registration wouldn't go in my events tab. I'm only tracking the stuff that makes a significant difference either in my short-term cash flow, which is those week-long camp registration, or an effective full-time membership. I'm not tracking open gym memberships. I'm not tracking anything else. This is EFT and this is week-long camps. Does that make sense? Cool. And that's just to make sure that the environment that I talked about originally, everyone, where you're creating a place where everything's consistently full, your staff members feel empowered, the organization's expanding without chaos, people aren't stressed. As long as this sheet is the necessary work to create that environment. Anything outside of this, I would deem unnecessary. Now, that doesn't mean don't do it, okay? And that might not fit your definition. I'm not saying cancel your nerve nights, but I'm just saying this work has to be done, and you cannot neglect this work or you will die and I will kill you. Brendan.
I guess one last thing I'll end up with just in reflection to that. We have like a separate, Paul was talking about how the fitness mobility is technically secondary. Any signups for that and drop-ins and classes are going to be significantly cheaper and are essentially in excess to not being planned around for major profit goals.
So
all stay
hold on. So that is, I would say you want to create a separate context bubble for a program like that for Paul. Cool. So Paul's fitness and strength and mobility, I would say he can have his own targets, and it's probably relatively easy to manage and small, much smaller and some
version of this.
Yeah, and that would just be a conversation with him about like, you know, what would expansion of this program look like over time? Or is the goal just to maintain it? Maybe it is. I don't know. Like maybe he's happy with his current student base. I'm not sure. And so this is a whole perfect and complete context regarding effective full-time memberships and camps and events. And possibly Paul's expansion of his fitness and mobility program fits very nicely and neatly within the classes section. Maybe his participants also like to participate in your events and like to come to your workshops and like to come to your camps. I don't know. If that is the case, then that's awesome. But if not, then make his own little ecosystem.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. All right. Any other questions? That was a great question. Any other questions or comments or anything you want to elaborate on? Anything you want to speculate about regarding this? Are we done? Is that it? You guys are done with me after all that? Okay. All right. Well, that was fun, guys. I really hope this was useful to you. I hope you use this in your organization and in your business. I'm personally like very committed to your success, and you may not know this, but also the quality of your life. I've been working secretly in the background, probably not so secretly, with Seth for quite a while now, and you know, I really want you guys to succeed. I really want you guys to fly and expand and live comfortable, awesome lives of quality where the gym like more than pays for a fantastic quality of life. And to get there, this is the necessary work for that. So thank you for your time. And if you ever need anything, feel free to reach out to me. I'm in the Motion Mentors Discord. You're welcome to reach out on those official channels. Anything else before I end the call?
Yeah, I was going to invite everybody, if you want to do some reflection on the Swift side with me for a few extra minutes, if you have the time. If not, I understand. It's been we're already over. So I can create an additional Google Meet for that as well if you're interested, and I'll put it in the chat real quick here. Okay.
Sounds good.
Cool.
Thanks, Chris.
All right. You're very welcome. And then Seth, let's you and I schedule a separate meeting outside of this to create your own targeting sheet, and then we'll disperse it among the team. I'm not just going to send everyone up for your template.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Toss a Google Meet in the chat so we can just reset the lobby and everything, and then Chris can get out of here. Thank you, Chris, so much for your time.
Thanks so
Thank you,
much.
Chris.
You are so welcome. See you guys at PK IndyCon, or some of you.
Bye.